Dave Moore is creator of The Snack Network, a YouTube and TikTok channel where Dave and his friends get together and have tons of laughs while eating rare and obscure snacks that they find in their daily travels. Also, he has an extremely limited knowledge base of Julia Roberts films. Hi, Dave. I met Dave many years ago through our mutual podcast friends and colleagues, and Dave quickly became like a little brother to me. Someone that I can effortlessly joke around with, tease, and make fun of in a way that only two guys who instantly click can. Dave has had an extremely varied content creator career, never quite settling in on one thing for long, kind of like my kids with a new toy. See something shiny, get super excited about it for 2 minutes, then move on to the next shiny thing. But the great thing about Dave is he bounces around so much because he loves so many things. He's a lightning bug trying to burst out of the bottle. I like that a lot about Dave. Lately, however, Dave has settled into this snack thing and it really suits him. You can see his love of what he does in every video, laughing with his friends, acting goofy, and never taking any of it too seriously because Dave's main goal has always been to just have fun with life. So let's have a little fun right now as we put into the spotlight Dave Moore from the Snack Network. So, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah?
My stream got canceled last night. Not that that's timely, but that half of why I ended up on the Backlog Busters.
What happened?
Lower third, you'll understand this joke if you listen to Adam on our stuff. Got trapped at work, or as I'm telling myself, is like his hostages started fighting back. So
Trapped at work? Like, did something fall on him or what?
Not physically.
He's a fairly big guy. He can make himself available, right?
Yeah. We pushed it later for my brother's birthday, which was also celebrated yesterday. And then it was like, all right, no worries, because we're starting late. And then he was like, he called me 5 minutes after the thing was supposed to be like going. He's like on his phone on FaceTime, and he's like, I'm really sorry, man. I'm like,
classic lower third.
Yeah, classic.
What is it like to just be able to schedule things whenever you want to do them? As a content creator, you have so much freedom.
Here's the thing about this, Adam, is it's fantastic, right? Like in the grand scheme of things, to be like, all right, today we're gonna shoot 30 tasting videos, right? Like, and we're basically, or I'll be like, we lined up the first 2 weekends of the month, we'll shoot like 15-ish videos with 2 different people, and I can spread those out throughout the entire month, right? So like,
right,
I can shoot and produce a month's worth of content in 2 days, right?
Wow.
And like, that's fantastic when you think about that. Like, that's awesome until you like realize what that's doing to your body when it's all eating videos.
I was going to ask you about that later.
We'll get there. And the other problem is, because it's so flexible, that it does get a little bit stressful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're sometimes we're coming down to the wire. You're like, okay, I thought we were prepared. We are not prepared to keep releasing a video with Adam singing at the end almost every single day. So we better start figuring out a time to shoot, and then it's just like scheduling that with everybody's availability, everybody's schedule. The positive of like having something at the same time every week or every month, right, is like you can line up and work around that, and like without that hard commitment, people make other plans or commit to other things. Mm-hmm. So like there's a positive and a negative to it, is that I'm able to be ahead, but I'm also able to fall behind very quickly.
So you record most of your content with 2 friends who you've known. I get the assumption that you've known these guys a long time. I met
Jeff in preschool. Okay, so Jeff and I've known each other. We were like 4 years old, like legit 4 years old. We were in Mr. Kyle's class, He used to play guitar. It was great. And then Curtis I met in middle school.
Wow.
When I quit band because the band teacher told me that I wasn't good enough to come to the Christmas concert. So
Oh my God.
I played trombone. So I went to the Christmas concert, played terribly on purpose.
On purpose? Just to,
Oh.
yeah, I was going to say, just to spite him?
Just to spite. I'm like, your dumbass little 7th grade band sucks, Mr. Greeble. Like, get over yourself. Like, this is...
Eat shit, Mr. Greeble.
Basically, yeah. He had a sign. This is one of the things that eats at me, like in my course. Still, they sign up on the board that said "Perfect practice makes perfect," which, like, I understand the sentiment of like if you're practicing the way you're supposed to be, you're getting better, right? But
Right.
like, perfect practice makes perfect implies that like you should already be perfect,
Right.
and like that's a load of bullshit, Mr. Greeble. So I quit band. I went to choir. Curtis, on the other hand, is in choir, and he's like, I'm the greatest singer in the world. He knows I make fun of him for this, right? And he's like, I don't want this band kid standing next to me. So he pushed me off the back of these bleachers, which are like, they're like risers, but they're bleachers. So I fell off those. Curtis is a jerk. We become friends. That's how guys become friends. And 20 years later, we're on the internet tasting food, so you don't have to.
I'm best friends with a guy who stabbed me at the back of a 7-Eleven. You know, it's just the way things go.
That's how you become. That's how you make friends.
That's how bonds are formed.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's kind of go back a little bit to your history. You're kind of what I call a creative tornado. In all my time that I've known you, you've probably done 800 different things creatively in the space. Many of them not for very long. Like, you're guided by like this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're guided by this core idea that you're not going to do it if it's not fun.
I'm not going to do it if it's not fun. If it's not fun, we're not doing it.
If you had the biggest audience in the world, but you were not having fun, you would quit. Am I right?
See, that's the problem. Okay, I wouldn't quit, but I probably would shift to doing something else. Like, does that make sense? Like,
sure.
Okay.
You would subtly guide your audience in a new direction
into doing whatever I wanted to do. Yeah,
right.
Because I'm not.
Because I can remember listening to your stuff like 5-6 years ago, and you've done a million things with our mutual friend Johnny.
Yeah.
And I can remember listening to some of your stuff and the both of you talking about how much you hate the thing that you're currently doing. And basically shit talking the show that I'm listening to of yours and talking about how you want so badly to just go and do something else. And I can remember, like, as an audience member, just like, what the fuck am I listening to right now?
I believe at my core, and this is part of my creative thing, is if we're doing what everyone else is doing, why are we doing it? If 20 people listen to Forget Being Cool when we were doing it, right? Like, let's pretend there were 20 people, and they were the same 20 people who listened to another gaming show that's doing the exact same thing, right? Like part of the community is fun, and having like the little group of people is great, but like the stuff I'm covering, if I don't have a new opinion I didn't hear on a podcast earlier that week, basically my MO is I don't have an opinion of that thing. Like, I don't have, if I like, yep, I just agreed with Adam. Like, that's it. I agreed. And I look at that and go, what's the point of making this show if we're just saying the same garbage everyone else is saying? So either we need to start playing some games or doing something weird or shaking it up. And I believe that. Like, I think it's important to not only be trying to push forward, but also pushing forward in a way that you're making something new, having fun, and if you don't enjoy it, then what? Don't do it. Like, get out of here.
Do you consume a lot of other media, and do you let that influence you? Like, I mean, in the sense that that doesn't guide you to want to do something, but to push you away from doing something, kind of like what you're talking about.
I think, especially at the time I was doing a lot of those variety things and stuff, I was consuming a lot more than I am now.
Yeah.
I don't listen to as many shows or podcasts, or I don't watch any TV almost, and like the amount I've consumed has gone down dramatically. But when I realize that part of that's because I listen to the shows that are doing things that I think are more fun and unique and different, because that's inspiring to me. And listening to the same gaming headlines of the week on every show, basically you have fallen off my thing, even if you're one of my friends. Like, even if you're a person on the internet that I mutually like talking to, I would come on your show in a heartbeat and have a blast doing it. I go, yeah, but you're talking about the exact same thing insert other online friend is talking about, and you both said the exact same thing this week. And
yeah, I'm the same. Like, I used to listen to so many podcasts. Every day at work, I would have a slate of podcasts that I would listen to in the video game space.
Right.
And now I think I listen to maybe two podcasts a week.
I still listen to a bunch of podcasts, but I've spread them out into tech and like just like
yes,
podcasts about productivity and stuff about like space, and like the gaming shows continue to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle, and as you lose your creativity in that gaming podcast, like I just fall off. Like I'm just like, yep.
No,
right.
I totally understand.
I don't want to hear about Elden Ring again, guys. Literally, if I pick up another podcast and somebody starts talking about Elden Ring, I literally swipe the podcast away and say, I played it. Out, next one.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, and I'm still as invested in the space as ever in regards to like my interest in games and stuff. But I was at the exact same kind of juncture where I was like, I'm listening to the same thing over and over again. So I selected a couple that continue to entertain me above that bar of just being about video games. And then they're the ones who made it, even though I am, like you said, still friends with a lot of creators, and am more than willing to, participate and help them and things like that. But I don't consume nearly as much as I used to. It's just, the road to get here has been very long. So, I mean, inevitably people are going to dip. I've seen that with my audience. The people who are with me right now are not the same people who were with me 5 years ago. And that's fine. People adapt. People want something different.
I mean, I had the #1 rhythm gaming podcast on the internet. I say that half as a brag and half as a joke, right? Like, that's hysterically stupid. But there were 7,000 people listening to that show every week. Okay. Like, I know that. I knew the audience. I knew a ton of the names, right? Like, having 100 people watching us, and especially near the end as things slowed down, we had at least like 40 people in our chat even still. And like, that's awesome. And then when I was like, all right, guys, Rock Band is dead. Like, we can't cover DLC every week. Like, we just can't. We moved it to monthly, and then it just kept dwindling and dwindling down. And like, those names, like, sure, some of those people are still my friends on Facebook, some of those people are still my friends on Twitter, but like, I don't see them watching our snack videos. I see like Alien Man, like the one guy. And so my audience has changed, but that's another thing I've learned from jumping around, Adam, is like, not only did I make a bunch of friends in the gaming content space, but like, I'm making a bunch of new friends in the food and content creation space. And like, I find that fascinating in its own way too. It's like, there's a whole nother community over here doing something else, doing different things, creating different kinds of content, and pushing me forward to get better at what I do.
What was the seed that was planted for snacks? Where did that come from? Because for the longest time it was media.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, and this is, as long as I've known you, this is the thing that seems to interest you the most out of anything that I've ever seen you do. And you seem to be finding a lot of success with it. Where did
There's
the idea come from?
there's a couple pieces. Okay, there was once Johnny Casino, and I think to God we were still doing Shelved and Forgotten. Okay, and Justin Masson, the Nintendo Dads, was listening. Okay, and he's like, "You guys talk about lots of weird stuff. What if I sent you some Canadian snacks?" And he sent us coffee crisps and cheesies. Okay, and we put those up.
Cheesies.
Cheesies. They're basically Cheetos, except they're like not just like pencil shavings. They're like actual corn cheesy puff things.
Okay.
They're pretty good. I don't know if I would be going all the way across the border for them, but they're fine. And he sent us coffee crisps, which is like a coffee chocolate bar and that. And we tried those and we put up videos on the channel. I found these. They said something like 7 years ago or something. I sent them to John like a couple weeks ago. I was like, look at these. These came out of the woodwork. And like that was really goofy, but like eating on a podcast just seemed kind of gross and kind of stupid, which I was like, moving on. And then years and years of making Forget Being Cool, being on various shows, creating a bunch of other things, everything kind of fell apart in a really not great way. And that's okay, but I couldn't just give up. Like I couldn't just stop making things. So I took Forget Being Cool and I was like, we're going to cover everything. I'm going to shove a show into every space I can, whether it's movies, video games, comic books. Like we're just going to make all the shows we want. And at some point during that, I made a joke and said, we should taste stuff on the weekends because we're putting up a video every single day. What if we put up a snack and a drink on Saturday and Sunday as like in the same style as these other like 15-ish minute shows where we talk about a thing? Let's do food. And finally, after a bunch of other boring movie podcast shows and a bunch of other things that people were talking about, a bunch of people started latching on to these snack videos. They're like, these are hysterical. Trying orange vanilla Coke. I went and tried out a Big Mac for the first time on the 50th anniversary of the Big Mac. It was disgusting. I took like 2 bites and I couldn't handle it, but I put up that video and people loved it. Like that was a thing that people saw, laughed, and enjoyed it. And I thought, okay, this is great. Then I sold my house. Right? Well, I moved into my house. I moved out of my apartment and bought my house. And I was just so busy getting the house projects done and everything else. So basically everything came to a halt. And I was sitting there going, I need to make things again. I have to. And I actually had another idea for this bar set that we use. And that's a whole nother thing. And I'm never going to spoil it because I could still make it. And
of course you could.
And I'm like, I still think I should make that. And I just go, we could use this as the Snack Network bar. And by the Snack Network, at that time, I was calling it Only Foods because that was the name I had in my mind. And it's a stupid, horrible name. I'm glad I couldn't get it. It's already taken.
Sounds like a grocery store.
Yeah. Or a website that has naughty pictures of food. And after getting all settled in and being ready to go, I was like, let's just do it. Let's just make this food channel. Let's go for it. And I didn't think it would have the success that it did. I thought we would maybe get some of the people that we recognized in. But the other thing I learned very quickly was I can bring literally anybody in to fill these seats. I can, anybody's willing to come taste something. Anybody's willing to try something new for the first time, most people, unless you're a wimp, right? But like Johnny Casino can just fly in here for 2 days, come to my house and shoot a bunch of...
Apparently he does.
He was here last weekend.
Right.
I have a podcast for you. I don't know who else it was for. We kind of recorded it just for you. Just sitting there on a hard drive.
You guys just recorded a thing just out of nowhere?
Well, Adam, he came here. This is the thing, Adam, is he came here. I texted him the day before he was supposed to be here. The day before he ended up coming and said, hey, here's a really funny idea. We're streaming on Friday night at 7:30. Why don't you just come over at 7:30 tomorrow and stay the night at my house? And then we'll play video games all night after the stream. And then you'll stay at my house on Saturday and hang out with me all day. And he's like, I can do that. And I was kidding. I thought he'd be like, no, man, I got to stay here and work and do things. So we recorded the stream. We got up. We went and got breakfast at the diner that I went with everybody who comes here. It's like the crappiest diner in the world, but it's also kind of delicious. So we go there. It's really close to the house. Went, did that. We came back, shot a bunch of snack videos. John's hanging out. We're just hanging out, chilling. I go, we should record a podcast. We'll just record like an episode of Forget Being Cool with no preparation at all. He's like, let's do it. So we did that. And I don't know where I'm putting it.
Wow.
And I think that the beginning starts out a little bit rough because we're just a little rusty, but I think it's evolved into like what I think everybody who did listen to Forget Being Cool enjoyed about it. So
you really have an interesting friendship with Johnny, and I think that's kind of cool. Is, you know, a lot of the friends in the space are kind of friends that are tied to something that they do together or whatever. But you guys have been friends for a long time, whether you are doing content or not. And I think that's pretty cool.
I consider John, and this is something I learned about in this space too, is like, I consider John, and I learned this really early on, I think, is like, he's as much my real friend as any of my real life friends are. Yep. Like, if anything, at some point I started talking to John more than I started talking to anybody else. And so I'm like, I don't know, once you go through a couple like dramatic life changes, shit hits the fan a couple times, like, but this is a person you talk to almost every single day, you form this bond, and the like internet barrier like no longer becomes a thing. And like, I didn't consider John any less of a friend than I considered Jeff a friend who I'd known since preschool.
Right.
And so like that was a awakening, like, in general, and then meeting him in person. And then John was unlucky to take this position where he needs to travel all the time, and to the point where he's not really available in the way that I would love us to be able to make things again. But at the same time, he has been able to visit my house more times than I thought we ever could. He came to my house and ripped up carpet. Like like tell me something other than your friend wouldn't just do. Like, I'm like, well, John, I'm glad you're in town. I'm ripping up carpet this day. You can come hang out with me and help me. He's like, that's cool. And we just did that, you know, staples in our hands bleeding, rolling out carpet, taking it outside, just the whole moving furniture. It's great. But
Johnny came to your house and tore up your carpet.
Yeah, that's exactly how we say that. We got a mouse inside and everything. It was great.
So this house, how long have you been in this house?
I bought it like 6 months before COVID hit, in basically late 2019.
So you bought a bunker is what you bought.
I shot my house property value up wildly since I bought it.
Yeah. So this bar area
was in the house.
It's basically like you've built a set, essentially, right?
Uh-huh.
That is something that I have always, like, I've got a great office. I love my office, but it's not really a set. I think it's so cool that you've got this large space that is kind of catered and tooled and tweaked specifically around your content, that you've got a stage. Do you have it like all tricked out with lighting and audio and stuff too, or?
I have the equipment to do it. I usually just use sometimes the easiest way to shoot stuff is to make your life as simple as it can be.
Yeah.
This place is already carpeted. It's drop ceiling. Like, so behind the bar, there's tile floor, but on this side, it's all carpet. From the 70s, it's great. And, but it absorbs all the sound. So like, even bringing in better microphones, like, it makes a difference sometimes when we do it, but it's in no means necessary. We can basically slap up an iPhone and hit go. Like, yeah. And when it's that easy, it makes it way more fun. I bought a camera that we use for a bunch of videos. I bought $1,000 camera. I was hoping having some SD cards would be great, but like, shit overheating and just like audio technical problems, shooting a video where the mic didn't get turned on that runs on 9-volt battery, like, just the battle. The battle for that the return isn't worth it. right? Like, it didn't make it so much better that I was like, yeah, let's do that every time. Oh, we could shoot one video a day that way. And this bar set, though, was in the house when I bought the house. And when I walked in to look at it, to look at the house, I saw it and went, yep, that's a set. Like, I didn't go, cool, I have a bar. And who's going to drink at my bar in my basement? Like, that's never going to happen. But I saw there's a set here. And I looked at the basement. I go, oh, there's like a perfect little recording space over there. That's amazing. And I go upstairs and I walk out. There's a back door. And I go, oh, there's no back doors on the other houses on this street. That's cool. There's a full deck and a finished garage. And I go, yeah, I think I found the house. I'm sold.
Yeah, you're right.
This kitchen needs a remodel, but so does every kitchen we've ever looked at. So, if I get this bar set, I think I know where we're gonna shoot stuff. And I've considered moving the whole rig so that basically no matter what podcast or show I'm on, I'm standing over there. But I don't want to work over there.
Something tells me you'll make a few tweaks over the years still. So is the tornado finally calming down? Like, is this where you want to be in the creative space for the foreseeable? Or do you still have more, thought bubbles popping every 5 minutes like you did so many years ago?
The bubbles of ideas of creativity never stop in my brain. This is the problem with my brain. I also find myself with a lot of free time to think, Adam. Like, a lot. Like, too much. Getting in your own headspace for too often. Like, too much. Especially with this kind of thought. Like, I don't know. The amount of things I'd like to do with the Snack Network and the amount of time I have is limited in its own way. I like doing the Snack Network so much that I don't think I would ever stop doing it, and I am kind of fully in charge of it, right? So, like, there's no chance in it stopping. It's also not reliant, if anybody's listening from the Snack Network, like, it's not reliant on anybody,
right? On any one person,
other than really me. Like, I can bring in whoever I need to shoot videos. And I know, like, that's not I love everybody who we do videos with, like I do. Like, that's not the question here.
But everybody has a mouth.
Right. Everyone has a mouth, and everybody can taste things, and everybody can talk and have an opinion on food. And I think that's the blast of it. I don't plan on stopping this anytime soon, but I've also been proven plenty of times that literally something you think you're going to do for a very long time can just collapse underneath you, Adam. And I think you know this. I think this community knows this. I think I've learned that a lot of this is more temporary than I'd ever like it to be.
Right.
I will never stop making things. I've learned that. That is part of who I am. And I will continue to make Snack Network videos as long as I can. That's not saying I wouldn't want to go try to do something else if the right creative spark hit me. I would probably try to do both.
That sounds like you.
Yeah.
So you touched on really quick, we're almost out of time, but I want to touch on that really quick. You talked about the idea and the feeling of the unexpected brakes screeching, and a thing that you love doing all of a sudden just, I think you said, spectacularly falls apart.
Yeah.
I think we've both had experience with that. Some more recently than others.
Yeah. Some are a little fresher than others.
Some wounds are fresher than others. How long did it take you after the train went off the rails to kind of pull yourself up and say, fuck it, I'm going to keep going because this is who I am? Like, was it like an immediate thing of like, I'm not going to stop, or did you have to lick your wounds for a while?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of like, part of doing this is like who I am, and without doing anything, I'm more emotionally damaged by that than like just quitting and taking care of myself. Like, that's weird. Mental health and like taking self-care probably should be on the list, but like I consider making things almost self-care. Like it is part of what I need to do. So I don't know if like I was entirely ready to start really making things again, but like just kind of throwing things at the wall immediately made me a little bit better off. Like just I couldn't stop, but I also needed like some sort of I needed a shake up too, right? I couldn't just go back to doing the exact same thing. I had to do something else, but that something else needed to still be making something.
Right. Yeah, there's like this feeling of like I'm gonna prove to myself that I can make this work and that I can be stronger and do new things and not be reliant on the thing that is no longer there. I think that it's almost like a relationship, a relationship ending, and you're not necessarily rebounding, but you're proving that you can endure without that thing that you were so entwined with.
It didn't need to. I didn't need to stop. I needed to change, and that's that. You're right. It kind of sounds like a rebound, but it's also just kind of like part of moving on. And maybe this is something my dad put into me. Is just like, get up. Don't just sit there and cry. Like what are you gonna do? Like is that really gonna make any of it better? Suck it up, fix your problems. It's basically what my dad told me growing up, right? And so if you have a problem, you go solve it. And like I couldn't have just gone, screw this. This is all over. I hate it now. Everything's ruined because this thing didn't work the way I wanted it to. I couldn't just sit there and go, yep, I'm gonna. If you were learning to ride a bike for the first time, Adam, and you fell off the bike, okay, right? Some people would just say, all right, get back on the bike and do it again. I think more of mine was like, I'm gonna go ride my scooter for a little bit, and then I'll go get back on the bike. And I don't know if that's like a good metaphor or not, but
baby steps. Ease back into that water a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense. Yeah. Last question. Are you killing yourself with all the shit you eat?
Absolutely, 100%. Not only did I put on a bunch of pandemic
milk and Mountain Dew, dude. Like what the fuck?
It's not my fault. It's the people's fault for saying that Pepsi and milk is a real thing. Pilk is I want
to make sure you're actually eating fruit and getting outside every once in a while.
I don't know what fruit is. I don't touch grass. Every time we do fruit, we've done a couple fruit videos. We did those what were they? The pine berries, except they were like strawberries, supposed to taste like pineapples. They tasted just like freaking strawberries. What a joke. They're like pink strawberries. I was like, why did I do this video? Like, why did we eat something healthy that's dumb? It's not even good. Not even new. It's not
because you should live past 45.
Nah, I'm good drinking oyster beers and
What's the nastiest thing you've eaten?
The worst thing we drank was that candy cane beer that we did like way back in the beginning. Like it was. We've done a lot of weird beers that I'm like, man, these are odd, but like I don't hate it. This is like so disgusting. I couldn't stand it. I didn't like doing Mountain Dew and milk.
Yeah. Those aren't things that go together. Who in their right mind came up with that idea?
It was because
it's horrible.
We did Pilk that day. We did Pilk and we had Mountain Dew. We go, all right, let's do it.
What's Pilk?
Pilk is Pepsi and milk. It's a normal, common, Midwestern, commonly drank thing. I agree, Adam. I don't know.
No, it's not.
You're right. It's not. It's not as common as saying "ope." But it is. But it is like a normal thing. Curtis's mom used to drink it. He says, like on a regular basis. So like him doing it wasn't new to him. I'm like, you're crazy, but we'll do it because it's trending on the internet. And sometimes you have to play the game a little bit. And so I was like, all right, we'll do it. And I'm like, I was like, you know what we could do that's stupid? We could do Mountain Dew and milk. And I was kidding. Okay?
It was your idea.
It was my idea. And I said, no, I'm not doing this, Curtis. He's like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, all right, well, then we have to put like an artificial freaking counter on it to get an amount of likes or something for me to do it. And he's like, it has to be attainable. Like, we have to get to a point where like it's reasonable, but also like far enough that we won't do it. I'm like, 200 likes. We could do 200 likes based on some of our shorts, right? Like this video would have to blow up. And I'm like, all right.
And it blew up.
Say at the end of the video, 200 likes, Dave will do it. He goes, all right. And he did it. I put that video up on Instagram. It got 56,000 views, 1,300 likes. And I guess I had to do it.
You are
I was like, well, I was hoping I'd get out of this.
You are a very special man, Dave.
I know, Adam.
Thank you for being a part of Megadads over the years, Dave. Thank you for joining me today. Really quick, tell the people where they can find all of your really great stuff.
You can find me at Tell You Dave on the internet. That's a dumb. I used to say, let me tell you something. I became Tell You Dave. But if you want to watch me and all my idiot friends taste random things like oyster beer or Mountain Dew and milk, I don't know what I've signed up for. Go to thesnacknetwork.com. It'll take you right to the YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, and we put up a tasting video almost every single day. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Something new.
It is different. It is different.